Top 10 Most Expensive Movies, adjusted for inflation. While a big movie budget might not always mean that you will come up with a fantastic movie, it does give you a better opportunity and the right tools to express yourself creatively. In today's video, we'll be looking at the top 10 most expensive movies ever made, adjusted for inflation. The Royal is running a free competition where one lucky winner will receive a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Stay tuned and look out for our entry requirements, and you could be walking away with this fantastic prize. To kickstart our list at number 10, we have Avatar 2009. It is common knowledge that the big movie studios always like to be creative with their accountancy so they can reduce the amount of tax they have to pay. Once there is a bigger cost, you can lower the tax bill. The 2009 Avatar movie followed the same trend. James Cameron took a pretty deep dive into the third dimension with his completely digitally created world. The producers hired WETA to create the special effects and smooth 3D animation that took the medium of cinema to a whole new level. There are three main reasons why this movie was so expensive. The first is the time and effort required to create these special effects and animation. This project took about 90 hours to produce, just one frame, and the entire movie was shot at 24 frames per second. Just imagine the amount of time and effort it must have taken to do the whole thing. Secondly, the creators of the movie also created a whole new language strictly for the movie and had to teach this new language to over 100 actors that worked on the project. And finally, there were a lot of big names in the cast, and super talented screenwriters had to be hired to bring this amazing story to life. As a result of these main factors, this movie cost a total estimate of about $243 million, which translates to around $297 million today. Number 9. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, 2009. This movie is recorded as the most expensive Harry Potter film ever made. Thankfully, it was not just expensive, but also broke a good number of box office records, although it is not the highest grossing film of the franchise. It cost Warner Brothers about $250 million to create the movie at that time. Why was this movie so much more expensive than the others? The first is CGI. CGI is not child's play in terms of workload and the kind of money you would have to put into it. A large percentage of the scenes in the movie were either purely CGI or had some form of CGI involved in the productions. Secondly, most of the contracts of the main character in the movie were up for negotiation. Therefore, there had to be more money spent. Adjusting the movie budget for inflation, the cost should come to about $305 million as of 2021. Number 8. Tangled, 2010. The Disney story, Rapunzel's movie adaptation, is the most expensive animated movie ever made. It cost even more than the 2019 live-action animated Lion King. It is believed that the high cost was majorly a result of how long it took the creators to get the story right. It took the makers about 10 years of trial and error to make this movie. With every attempt, they would get far into production and then scrap the whole project and have to start from the beginning. A large chunk of the budget went to redesigning different versions of the previously attempted Rapunzel, going as far back as the year 2000. Adjusted for inflation, this movie cost Disney $309 million. Number 7. Spider-Man 3, 2007. As of the time of its release, the third installment of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man was the most expensive movie ever made, and understandably so. A lot of money was put into the use of some of the most innovative visual effects in existence at that time. Then there are the web-slinging set pieces, the star level of salaries that had to be paid, and, as always, intense marketing and promotional campaigns that needed to be catered for. Apart from all these, the company was very keen on making sure they pleased the fans with this movie, that they stretched production by months, which of course meant a lot of extra money had to be spent. Altogether, and adjusting for inflation, This movie cost the producers around $318 million. Number 6. Titanic, 1997. For the set of this movie alone, the makers spent about $120 to $150 million. Keep in mind that this is the year of 1997. Some of the scenes were so expensive, they could only afford one take. The entire cast and crew had to ensure they got it in the first take, because a reshoot was completely out of the question. The makers took a lot of pride in their beautiful portrayal of such a monumental artifact of modern history, and even hosted a marketing campaign for the launch of the movie. They promoted the rich value of the movie as nothing the audience had ever seen at the box office. Thankfully, it all paid off as the returns and reception at the box office were at a pretty satisfactory level. As of 1997, when this movie was released, the budget was set at an extravagant $200 million. When this figure is adjusted for inflation and related to now, the movie would have cost somewhere around a staggering $324 million. Number 5. Avengers Infinity War, 2018. Infinity War was the first superhero movie to ever cross the $2 billion milestone in the box office. And considering it's only number 5 on this list, we can say that it's an incredible return on investment for the company. The movie was a massive production that needed scores of employees working around the clock to ensure that everything worked the way it was supposed to. This does not come at a small price at all. Apart from all the work done behind the scenes, all the big names and stars that were put in front of the cameras had contracts and salaries running into tens of millions of dollars. And finally, thanks to the massive use of visual effects and CGI, there just had to be some big spending done on the production of this movie. The total cost of this movie adjusted for inflation is $329 million. Number 4. Avengers Endgame. The sequel to our number 5 is number 4 on our list today, and it's the extremely popular Avengers Endgame. The 2019 Avengers movie was an even bigger project than Infinity War. There was more work to be done, more use of CGI, more star-level actors packed into one film, and the much longer screen time of about 3 hours. With all of these factors, you already know that the budgets had to be padded. Disney spent a total of $356 million on the movie, which is no small price to pay for such a marvelous ending to an 11-year storyline. Number 3. Avengers Age of Ultron, 2015. Coming in at number 3 is yet another Avengers movie. Disney sure knows how to splurge when it comes to these movies. The budget for the 2015 Avengers movie went sky high after the cast threatened to leave the project as the demands on their contracts were not met. Keep in mind that in this cast was the highest paid actor at the time, Robert Downey Jr., receiving an upfront of $20 million for the movie. As for the movie itself, shooting was spread across several international locations. This would mean flying the cast, crew, and getting permits to film in these locations. The titular villain in this movie also had to be made up of a large chunk of CGI and visuals in as many forms. Marvel has never been one to back down on the massive use of CGI and effects. However, this would always come at a very hefty price tag. Adjusted for inflation, this movie cost an estimated $402 million to create. Number 2. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, 2007. This movie's massive soundstage also included a massive water tank, and its use of more than 40 set pieces took up a lot of money from the pockets of its producers. Before adding the cost of prints, marketing, and advertising for the movie, the budget had already run into a massive $342 million. Bringing everything together, plus inflation, this movie cost an insane $435 million to make. Before we reveal the number 1 on this list, let's get into the details of the competition. As we've mentioned, we'll be giving away a $1,000 Amazon gift card for one lucky winner. If you'd like to join, all you have to do is subscribe to The Royal, like this video, and leave a comment below explaining why you should win. Number 1. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, 2011. Although this movie made some huge box office returns, its production was not a cheap trip to the office. Johnny Depp alone was taking home a hefty $55 million salary. Add that to a sped-up production timeline, the cost of filming for 3D, the almost 900 people that made up the enormous crew, and the abundance of visual effects used in bringing the movie to life, and you can see why this movie costs so much to make. All these factors, plus inflation, brought the budget of this movie to a record $480 million. Which of these movies do you think are worthy of the amount of money spent on them? Do let us know in the comments section below. For more videos like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification so you never miss any of our uploads. Also, don't forget to like the video and comment down below why you should win the $1,000 giveaway.